Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk ASPM. Let's Talk Application Security Posture Management. I'm thrilled today to have Jagadish Naboodiri, Director of Product Security at AppSec, as my guest here. I met him a couple of years back, and I've just been fascinated by his journey to building a very robust product security program, and even his background before that. So today we'll be talking about his journey, his best practices, and his take on how AI is changing the world. So that's what we are going to do here. Jagadish, welcome.
Hey Raj, thanks for inviting me for this podcast, and thank you for accommodating my time zone as well. So I feel privileged. Thank you.
All right, yeah. So looking forward to this conversation here, Jagadish. So Jagadish, I know I'm like based on your experience, right? I'm like you have a combination of InfoSec and product security experience. So can you tell me how one has informed the other and how both have progressed over a period of time and where we stand now?
Yeah, I'm in the industry for past 22, 23 years, and of that, 15 years is been with cybersecurity. And I see that the technology is evolving rapidly every day, every minute, and same the cybersecurity as well, right? So the threat landscape is evolving a lot, and you have new dimensions to the attacks right now, and cyber is become a warfare. It's no more just attacks, right? So it's become a warfare, and information security is no more just information security. You have to secure everything, not just the information. So it's evolving a lot. On the one hand, we are evolving, but on the other hand, we are still looking at old age vulnerabilities. The OS top 10 is never changed. I think it's still this almost the vulnerabilities are going up and down, but we still have the same list, right? So CWEs are still the same. So while the technology and everything is evolving, the cyber hygiene is still catching up. So yeah, things. I mean, it's a fantastic domain, and it's a thriving domain, and it always keeps you on the toes. So it's a great domain to be in. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So tell me now, application security and then product security, right? So how do you see the latest trends in application security, product security, and in your mind, what's the difference between the two as you see it?
So application, like, OSI model, the top layer is the application, right? So the seventh layer. So typically the security starts from the layer 4, transport layer, right? So application security is just the top layer, but when it comes to the product security, you are literally looking from the OSI model. So you are looking at physical, you are looking at every aspect of the product, and you are looking at a design to deployment security. And not just the deployment, but even after the deployment, right? So that is the big difference between application security and product security. So you are covering entire, like the sourcing. So maybe in the application security, we may not know what we are sourcing, from where we are sourcing the server, where we are sourcing the network equipments. But when it comes to the product security, you need to know from where we are sourcing the PCB, where we are sourcing our CPUs, where we are sourcing the chip, what is say supply chain security impact, right? So product security is evolving, and it is a lot more holistic compared to the application security, or for that matter, the information security, where we are just focused on securing the information, not just the entire system. So product security is about securing everything, the system, complete system. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I think OSI model is a good way to look at it. Applications on the top, and then there are multiple layers, and then with that comes the specific nuances and complexities of securing an entire product, especially when there is a hardware involved in it, right? For many SaaS applications, maybe there's just an application, right? Maybe there's not hardware tied to it. So what specific challenges you think as a professional you need to look at, and what advances in technology mean to those challenges, either in terms of AI or even quantum? So how do you look at those?
Yeah, I think when we are talking about AI, quantum, one of the biggest challenge we have with the hardware and software security, typically we call it as embedded security, or ICT, right? So ICT security is legacy systems. So we are dealing with a lot of legacy systems here, and they are trying to catch up with a connected world, and they are coming out onto the internet or cloud, and that becomes a very, very significant risk, right? So they are using legacy protocols, legacy hardware, where you can't even build a root certificate, or you don't have a real authentication or authorization. Everything is built on legacy, but to catch up with the technology, they are coming on to the cloud and internet, and they're getting connected. So it becomes very, first and foremost thing is the legacy aspect, right? So they're connected, but they're legacy. So you are really not incorporating security from the design aspect. You are just putting that on top of that, on top of it, right? So the second thing is, once the product security, in the product security, what happens, you are just giving off the product to the customer or user. You don't have control. Like you mentioned, in the SaaS or SaaS, or in the IT world, you have control over it, whether it's a hardware or like a server or a network switch or anything. You have control over that because it's within your premises. You decide what can be done, right? So in the same case, when you're selling a product, you are selling it, you are giving it off to the user or the customer, and they decide what to do with that, right? So for instance, a iPhone can be bought by a user and can be used for the right reasons. At the same time, iPhone can also be bought by a hacker just to look at the attack vectors on the iPhone, right? So you don't know how the users are, why the users are using this, right? So you don't have control over that. The next thing is the patching. So user is the one who decides how the device needs to be controlled and patched or managed, right? So you really don't have more control over the device. So you need to consider long-term implication of security while you are designing everything, right? Then comes the supply chain. So today nobody is building everything from the scratch. So we are sourcing a lot of things, be it in the software domain or in the hardware domain, right? So we are sourcing like chips, and everything is coming from some people. The PCB is coming from someone, right? So the firmware, the OS is coming from somebody. So there's a lot of things which is coming together on the table, and the product builder is actually bringing all of these things together. So there is a supply chain implications as well, and that's one of the very critical area today, managing the supply chain, right? And the last one, I would say, the people, right? So in especially in this world, the embedded systems or critical infrastructures, the domains, people are very, very experienced in their domain, not the cross domain. If you talk about healthcare or healthcare devices, so the people will be very passionate about their domain, and they're gone down to the ground, and they have scratched every surface to understand their domain. But the cross domain understanding how it works on the other side is little bit less. So you have to build a lot of the cross domain expertise as well in this area, right? So these are some of the challenges what we face, what are with the hardware and software when they both come together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, quite different and quite a bit more complex, as you can see, right? So when it comes to what makes it difficult, especially when it comes to vulnerabilities, with applications, there are set of scanners that you run. With the product security, there are certain set of scanners that you run. Do you think product security adds another layer of complexity when it comes to the scanners that you need to look at, outputs from the scanners that you need to look at, and the integrations that you have? Consequently, as a product security team, you are looking at different set of problems that need to be fixed, and then maybe managing the huge number of vulnerabilities that come at you and how you are solving it, right? And obviously you have put together a very, very robust and mature program. So how do you manage those complexities?
I mean, it's not that we add a lot from the product cybersecurity standpoint, right? So we add few additional tests, like for instance, the firmware testing, right? So we test the firmware, and then we start adding a lot more. If you are in a regulated environment, you will have to have a security test. I mean, functional testing results also part of your security testing, right? I mean, the reverse way, right? The security should be part of your functional testing as well. So those results will also come into the picture. Yes, we will continue with the SaaS, DAST, and whatever we continue to do, right? So yes, there is lot of vulnerabilities which come from various sources, and it is quite challenging how we can manage these vulnerabilities. You need to have something like a ASPM and to bring in all these vulnerabilities together, right? And make sure that you have a single pane of glass to look at these vulnerabilities, connect those, basically correlate them, and drive from there, right? So if you are decentralized, then it is very difficult. There might be vulnerabilities which you are looking at SaaS from a CW aspect, and the pen test, they both might be same. You have the same fix for that. But if you are treating those two as two vulnerabilities, you are actually you are putting more pressure or putting more numbers onto the plate, onto the engineering plate. You are not really solving that, right? So you need to correlate these vulnerabilities, looking at how can we solve the problem.
Right. Right, exactly. So one is obviously there are related ones, there are duplicates, there are related ones, and then there's probably the business prioritization also, right? Not all vulnerabilities are the same, right? So there's that like active, right? I know you are one of the pioneers of bringing in that business intelligence into fixing problems.
Yeah, I think ASPM for me, it is like the kitchen, right? So you bring in multiple ingredients from multiple places, like the vulnerabilities coming from various places. Will we just give that raw ingredients, just cut the meat or just cut the vegetables and serve it on the table? We don't do that, right? So we need to add lot more seasoning, lot more. We have to cook it, which means we have to digest that information first, add some more seasoning on top of that, and serve it for either lunch or breakfast or dinner, right? So you're prioritizing your meal, the first meal of the day. Similarly, we have to, ASPM becomes the kitchen of the product cybersecurity, wherein you bring in all these vulnerabilities, correlate them, and identify what is important. How do we understand what is important? We still, from a technology aspect, we still go with the severity, the CVSS scoring, EPSS scoring, all those things. This will give you the from a technological world, what is the risk, but it will never give you the business risk, right? So you need to start bringing that seasoning on top of that, right? So how many products have you sold in the market? What is the revenue of one product versus the another product? Where does my effort should flow in? So those information should be captured and should be added to that vulnerability scoring or EPSS or CVSS, whatever we are using. Only then it becomes business risk. And impact of a vulnerability on Apple 16 versus Apple 13 or something, which is legacy right now, right? So which one would we concentrate on? Which one would impact us more, right? So that kind of gives more awareness. Where should we focus our energy on?
Right. Yeah. That's a kitchen example is awesome. I had not heard of that example, that it all comes together. You can't obviously serve it like that. We want it to be a very, very delicious meal for the developers so that they can partake of it, right? Enjoyably. That you are putting it together. So that's fantastic. So in terms of the challenges that you have faced in this journey, what would you say? What were the three big challenges that you faced, and how using one platform that brings it together helps solve that problem?
Usually, what happens is okay. So the first challenge is decentralized information.
Yeah.
So you have multiple scanners and you are dealing you are dealing with vulnerabilities at every scanner level, right? So the triaging happens at the scanner level and you are not seeing the connectivity. You are not looking at vulnerability holistically, right? So that really is a big challenge, right? The second thing is
So what would you say on the people? Sorry to interrupt. So what would you say from the people's perspective, right? I know one of the things that
Go ahead, go ahead.
so what from the people's perspective, so some aspects of what we talked, I think I did not frame the question correctly for you. Though, so one of the big challenges here is one is the technology aspect of it, the other one is the product, the people aspect of it, which is, for example, interaction between you and the developers, you and the leaders that you're supporting, or the board that you're supporting. So, how is this ASPM platform helping you facilitate those interactions, people to people interactions within an organization?
Yeah, so yeah, that's where I was coming to. So first and foremost thing is developers security is not the core. I mean, I do say that it's a core responsibility of the developer, but they are busy with lot more things than just the security. Yeah, right. So how do you help them prioritize? So if you are letting them to use multiple scanners and do the triaging, this the in this scanners, they will lose the focus because they are looking at thousands of vulnerabilities, right? So we have to give them the right sized meal, right? So for that, ASPM help us. So wherein you are aggregating everything and you are helping them with the prioritization, and you are actually delivering some of the vulnerabilities onto their IDE instead of they are logging into multiple scanners and doing everything. You can directly, for instance, you can deliver that. You can integrate with Jira or some ticketing system where they are actually working on every day. So these vulnerabilities are directly there. They can trash there and they can remediate there. They can give that feedback to the ASPM systems, right? So that makes engineering teams work a lot easier. They know what is prioritized, how to fix, how to remediate everything in their own IDE, right? That's on the downstream, right? So on the upstream, for the leaders, if you keep saying there are so many vulnerabilities, they get confused and they just go behind the engineering team saying fix everything, which is not impossible. That's the one aspect. The other side is that's one extreme. The other extreme is they just close eyes on the security. You literally can't spend so much of time to fix every vulnerability, right? So that's why I keep saying, so you just need to add that risk on business risk on top of the vulnerability scoring, and start delivering that very focused prioritized list so that they can drive a focused remediation effort.
Right. Yeah. Essentially, I'm like you're saying, stop chasing the vulnerabilities and focusing on the risk, right? So that you know where the risk is, where the vulnerabilities are coming, where the business things are coming. That's what ultimately business case about. So what?
Yeah.
There are 10,000 vulnerabilities.
Security is all about enabling the business, not closing the business, right? So we need to enable the business. We need to make sure that we are securing the business at the same time.
Right. All right. So, next, in terms of the AI impact of AI and product security and application security, right? What do you see?
There's two way I would say AI is impacting. One is AI for security, right? Wherein you are actually using the AI for, say, driving the maturity in the security, driving the efficiency in cybersecurity, like bringing the knowledge what we have from release over release, and how can we leverage the AI to make sure that we are giving the predictive analysis to the engineering team that this can go wrong in the early stage, right? So, and also in the enabling the threat modeling. So there is a lot of efficiency we can incorporate using the AI. And like the remediation, right? So I'm still not confident on this idea. The idea is all about giving the remediation directly giving the code, right? Using the AI. If there is XSS, can we give the code directly? Give a code. Can AI do that so that developer don't need to reinvent the wheel again, right? So, but the only caveat I see there is AI is today not looking at copyright infringement or proprietary code and all those things, right? So they just scrap from the internet and give it to you. So you need to be worried about that. That is the second piece of the AI impact on the security. That is security for AI, right? So you need to make sure that the AI is also secured and you are not just going the way AI is going. You need to have some guardrail around the AI to secure yourself.
Yes,
So
right.
this is how the AI is impacting on the security.
Got it. All right. So now, I mean, like you've been on this journey with the ASPM for what now? 2 years now, or maybe more than 2 years with
I think it's more than 2 years.
with more than 2 years now, right?
We started I think in 2022. Yeah, it's more than 2 years now.
All right, Jagdish. So I know regulatory aspects can have a big implication on how you put your security strategy together, right? So has ASPM helped in that aspect?
I mean, ASPM will be helping me in so for instance, let's take for instance CRA, right? So Cyber Resiliency Act, which is passed in Europe and which will come in effect. It's already in effect, but it will be actually it is implemented, but will come effect in 36 months. So CRA is driving crazily for the product cybersecurity. Product suppliers for that matter, right? So there are a lot of requirements which are risk based, right? It is not CVSS or the severity based calculation anymore. If you go by CVSS scoring, you will end up literally having too much work. So you need to start adding a lot more risk perspective onto the severity while dealing with CRA. You need to have that. Then you need to store the records as well, right, for the long term. If you're in a proper appropriate manner, whenever the CRA people come and ask, you have to show the records, right? So you need to maintain that record for like 10 years, right? So you need to know the end of life of every product. Yeah, so all these things can be done through the ASPM, right? The first and foremost thing is the risk thing, right? So without you having a central location where you can bring in all the vulnerabilities and start putting that seasoning, what we said, right? So the risk aspect, it will be difficult for anybody to drive the security for CRA.
Yeah, it becomes, so what you're saying is it becomes a system of record, right? For what you have done in terms of fixing the problems and then keeping a record of it. Would that be a good capture of?
Yes. And also you should, the third aspect is disclosure. So you need to start disclosing the vulnerabilities which has implications on the product, right? So how do you determine that? That again is connected with the risk, and you need to have that vulnerability data and the risk assessment and everything so that you can communicate to the CRA and with your customers, right? So all these can be supported by the ASPM instead of having a Excel sheet or a legacy system wherein we were doing only the GRC system, right? So I don't think that will be no more supporting and no more helpers in CRA kind of regulation. You need to have a robust automated systems like ASPM.
Correct. Yeah, and then one that operates at scale as well, right? So Jagadish, it's fantastic. I mean, like there are a lot of things that we covered today. We talked about InfoSec, product security difference, and then how to mature a product security program with the complexities that come across the different layers, across the scanners, and across the people, right? 3 different dimensions that we talked about, and how you said ASPM, application security posture management, helps you bring it all together. So to say, the kitchen example that you mentioned, and then helps you put together some very, very nice dishes. So maybe the dish that developers like is different than the dish that the CISO likes, and the dish that your team likes, or the dish that the board likes, right? So I think that's a great analogy. I'm going to use that in other places on how to look at an ASPM example here. And then he also talked about it being a system of record, or a place where the some of the complex and sometimes very, very big regulatory requirements come together, and how ASPM can help you with that. So we covered a lot of topics here. Always something new that I learned by chatting with you. I look forward to continuing this conversation with you another time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Raj. Thanks for inviting me. And I mean, this is a vast topic, right? I hope I did justify the invite. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it is my pleasure. As I said, I always learn something new with this, and we'll continue the conversation another time.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. See ya.